What's good, YouTube? Welcome back to the channel. I just posted a reaction to the Laramie Tunsil trade. Go check that out. But right now, we are going to be grading the free agents that the Texans did sign on day one of the Houston Texans and NFL free agency. So if you're new to the channel, don't forget to like and subscribe, bringing you daily Texans content, always trying to hit it from new angles and new analysis. So really appreciate all the support we've been getting. We've been growing so fast. I appreciate every single one of y'all. But without further ado, let's get straight into this and let's grade the free agency. Now, not a crazy free agency, at least on day one, aside from the Tunsil news, which was what to be expected. You know, they spent a lot of money last year in free agency. Also, currently have a lot of guys that are on big contracts. But anyway, not the craziest signing or day one of a free agency. So I'm not going to try to torch them with grades. If I can see, a clear reasoning for it, then I'm going to be pretty lenient. There wasn't a signing that I thought was terrible, so to kind of put that in perspective. But let's get straight into this. So moving to the first guy. Oh, and by the way, this is in order of when the news broke. In order of when the news broke. So the first news that broke was Sheldon Rankins. Now, Sheldon Rankins, obviously being a former Texan, parted ways with the Texans after the 2023 season and went and signed with the Bengals. Unfortunately, he got injured. He got sick. He only played 7 games and had a sack. Bengals ultimately released him as a cap casualty. Look, Sheldon Rankins was good with the Texans. In 2023, he played 15 games, 6 sacks, 37 tackles, and a memorable fumble recovery return for a touchdown. I don't remember what game that was, but he played a lot better for the Texans than the Bengals, and that's kind of unfair to say because, like I said, he was derailed by injury. The $7 million is where I'm a little iffy on it. I can appreciate Rankins. I can appreciate, what he did for us, but he hasn't played at all last year. $7 million felt more kind of a goodwill thing. I know that's the max. That's not the guaranteed, by the way. These are not guaranteed numbers. So if that contract's more in the $5 million range, I feel a lot better about it. So Sheldon Rankins gets an A minus, mainly because, again, he hasn't really played last year and the number. But moving on, the next news that broke, maybe a fan favorite, I am not 100% sure, but Braxton Berrios, also known as Alex Earl's boyfriend, the famous TikTok influencer. Look, he is going to be your wide receiver depth. One thing I said before free agency started in a video in the past was you have to continue to add bodies at that wide receiver room. You cannot just rely on Christian Kirk. Also, the Christian Kirk signing, massive. Seeing what this wide receiver market looks like. But anyway, look, Berrios, 1 year, $2 million. If he makes the team, great. I think he will. I think he'll put a lot of pressure on Hutchinson and Mechie, and that's really why I graded this an A because, number one, I do think there's some talent there. I do think he can still be utilized. And I do think he can kind of push people out of the room. And I think he'll make the team. I think he might make it over Mechie, honestly. And what I really like about Berrios is he was an all-pro kick returner at one point. So again, he could potentially return kicks on kickoff with Dameon Pierce. And so that's why I really like this signing. Just a solid, body to throw in the wide receiver room. Not the most mind-blowing news ever, but just a good pickup nonetheless. Moving on, my favorite signing today was none other than Derek Barnett. You guys are very familiar with Derek Barnett. He was on the team last year, played in 15 games, 5 sacks, 26 tackles, 2 forced fumbles, and 2 defensive touchdowns. Great playmaking ability. Derek Barnett for $5 million to me is a steal. This is an A+. This is the best signing of the day, in my opinion. Really glad that Derek Barnett is back on the Houston Texans. Like I said, you guys know who he is. Don't have to go in too much detail with him. Great signing by the Houston Texans. After Derek Barnett, now this signing was a little interesting. So this is Tremon Smith. He is a special teams ace. And now he is the highest paid special teams ace ever. So Frank Ross, our special teams coordinator, got his guy. This dude basically returns kicks as well, although he didn't get a chance to really do that last year with the Broncos. And that's why this is kind of at an A minus. Honestly, could be a B, B plus. He's a special teams ace. Frank Ross must have really loved what he saw with this guy. The price is interesting, making him the highest paid. But again, you have him for 2 years, not 1. So look, make Frank Ross happy. That's fine. He can be a kick returner. He's also a DB, so this means the end of Chris Boyd. Chris Boyd will no longer be on the team, and he was the guy who, threw the helmet at Frank Ross against the Chiefs in the divisional. So there's that. But he's mainly just, again, special teams ace and another kick returner. So now the question he brings up and kind of the little insight is Braxton Berrios and Tremon Smith going to be our kick returners? Or is Dameon Pierce going to be in there? Like, I don't know. Maybe Dameon Pierce only goes back to being a running back for the Houston Texans. And that would kind of support my theory that Dameon Pierce might have a little bit of a revival this season. Maybe a running back 3 or running back 2 ceiling. I don't know, but they're definitely loading up on return guys. I also think it's very important to mention that one of these guys can return punts as well because, like I said before, no Tank Dell, no Robert Woods. You have no one to return punts. So I think it's really great that now we're getting some actual special teams options who are skilled, who can return punts in Berrios and in Tremon Smith. I think Tremon Smith will be the punt returner. So that's why it's not a B. It's an A minus because honestly, we needed a punt returner, and one of these guys can definitely fill that gap. And moving right along, we had Darnell Taylor. Darnell Taylor was an interesting signing. He's the defensive end who played for the Bears last year. He's actually got good measurements and good stats. I believe he recorded a couple sacks last year when he played with the Bears. His main thing has been, being healthy, not getting suspended, being able to play. Look, at the end of the day, if D'Amico Ryans likes an edge rusher, I'm going to trust D'Amico Ryans. He has made this front seven really just amazing. And so if you want to get Darrell Taylor, that's fine with me. I do wonder though if Danico Autry is no longer going to be on the team because I'm sure the team could save a lot of money, and you've already got Rankins back, you've already got Barnett back, and you've already got Darrell Taylor back. It's not looking good for Danico Autry, and he's kind of on the wrong end of 30 or even 35. I think he's older than, I don't know, he's old. He might not be 35, but he's an older guy, so yeah, this might be the end for Danico Autry, but overall, fine signing. It's D'Amico's defensive line. He can do whatever he wants. Can't give it much lower than an A. And now for the final person, or I should say the second to last person on our list, that is Justin Watson. Now, Justin Watson has spent significant time with the Chiefs. He actually has a Super Bowl ring. Look, the thing about Justin Watson, yes, he's had a couple of catches here and there. He did have a catch. He had a couple catches and I think around 30 yards in the Chiefs' last Super Bowl win. So there's that. But he's really known for his athleticism. He has a 40-inch vertical, 10-foot, 4-inch broad jump. He's 6'2" and 215 pounds, and he runs a 4.44 40. So a 4.44 40. Insane athleticism. You're really hoping you can just squeeze some juice out of this guy. And again, he's another body you're going to try to throw in. 1 year, $5 million though, so he's probably going to be, wide receiver 4 maybe for this team, wide receiver 3. Again, another body that's going to try to push out John Mechie or Xavier Hutchinson. I definitely think he ranks higher in the pecking order than Berrios. So like Watson, Berrios, Hutchinson, and then maybe Mechie at the bottom. That can all change in training camp though, but these wide receivers are definitely going to have some competition. Again, to the last position group. And maybe the lack of the last position group. Sorry if you can't see that. Hold on. Let me just try to make this a little bit easier to read. There we go. So we have the offensive line. Now, look, I had the offensive line at an F before Tunsil got traded. Now it's at an F. And I know that's unfair. They've made 0 moves. They've gotten a 0, but they haven't tried. I don't think they're going to make many offensive line moves in free agency, but I do think they need some. You don't have, depending on how you look at it, depending on where you want to place linemen, you're really missing like 2 offensive line starters, which is insane. You're missing a left tackle right now and a right guard. If you want to say Juice Scruggs is your right guard, you can't feel comfortable about that, but then fine, you're missing a left tackle. And if you want to put, Blake Fisher at left tackle, then you're missing a right tackle. So you need some offensive line help. I definitely think they're going to have to draft an offensive line in either the first or second round, preferably the first if there's a guy there. But they need to figure out what their offensive line plan is and what they're doing, because right now there is like nothing, at least that we know of. So I don't doubt that Nick Caserio has a plan, but they need to figure it out. Also, some kind of recent news: the Texans, adding to this list, have re-signed linebacker Jake Hansen to a 1-year deal worth up to $2 million. So Jake Hansen, a rotational linebacker, most well known for playing last year against Green Bay starting when Aziz and To'oTo'o were out. He's getting re-signed. Neville Hewitt, nothing on him, I don't think. So Jake Hansen, there you go. That's another update from about 20 minutes ago. They are re-signing Jake Hansen to a $2 million deal. That's fine. That's just linebacker depth, A minus, whatever you want to call it. Nothing crazy there. So that wraps up the first day of free agency, barring no other crazy moves. We talked about Tunsil last video. Go check it out. And we also graded all the moves with players we've actually signed this free agency. But let me know what you guys think. Are you kind of bought into this whole method of kind of buying, cheaper players in the first day? Are you hoping they spend some more money, some more of Tunsil's money? Who are there other prospects you think they should go after? That's really all I got for this video, though. Thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure to subscribe, and I will see y'all in the next one, man. Peace out.